Hey, what's going on, guys? Lordefakes here, and today, what I wanted to be talking to you about is how to curate your items. So, without further ado, let's change zones. So, it's no secret, I have the best gear in the game. That is a lie. These aren't what you would call the best, but for an average infidel like yourself, or shit, like me, it's pretty solid. And let me change to just the game. That one, not that one. It is that one. Okay. What you should be following, I like this rule of thumb. You look at the last slot and you base that gear's value on that slot. Sorry. I get like, as soon as I start recording, I get like 50 million messages, dude. I don't understand how I'm not like popular before recording, but as soon as I hit that record button, like all hell breaks loose in my phone. Okay. Obviously, it's a rule of thumb because, things are always different. There's always a different case that there has to be applied. Such is the case for gloves. Obviously, I wouldn't be selling this for 300 million. Gloves are more rare in that sense, therefore the price does go up on them. Something like this would cost maybe, I'd say around like what, 400 million or something like that. Let me put that in my disciple bet tag. Let's see, that way I can fight this dude and then he is happy as well. Oh wait, no, I can't fight at the same time. Okay, but something like this would be a classic example of looking straight at the slot value. So this is a 3 slot. Normally a 3 slot damage would go for around 100 million. The type of gear does factor in, obviously. If it's not a god gear, so let's say if it's Kyle shoe or it's red leather shoe, I think the price is negligible from a noob slot. So a noob gear shoe, I see that price going from like 90 to 130 million, in that range. When you add God onto it, because of what you can do with God gear, so once you get a full set, you can actually start getting food. Yep, so I have almost 10 pudding cakes. Because of that, the price goes up just a little bit. You can expect for people to sell like a 3 slot shoe for around, I'd say around like 150 million to maybe 200 million at the top range. Keep in mind, people always like to add in a larger, how do I say it? They like to add in a larger, they just add in money for no reason. They just add in pay for no reason. More than the value of the gear's worth. And this is because, you just need to make more money for selling your gear. And I think that's reasonable. Like, a lot of people highball. So they have, so like, let's say I'll sell this for like for 300 million, right? Let's say I'm selling this for 300 million, and then someone's like, hold on, what the heck? I'll give you like 150 million for that. And then I'm looking at that like, how about we meet in the middle? How about we go 200 million or something like that? And then because I highballed and I talked down to already a price that I'm selling at, that I'd still make a decent amount of net profit on. It helps, it works out for me and it works out for the person buying as well. Whereas, let's say if I start the bidding at like 175 million and somebody's like, oh, I'll buy it from you for 120 million. That meet in the middle price doesn't really apply. So there's really no negotiating after that. But selling it high is good because you can talk down from that level. Same with the Ring of God. So rings are actually expensive now just because there's just not a lot of rings. Oh, that was a good bite of tuna. Mm. So, Ring of God. If you look into VIP shop right now, there's probably just base is selling for maybe like 200 to 230 million. VIP shop is always higher than average prices they bank on your desperation. Like, oh my god, I really need to get a Ring of God right now. Therefore, I'm okay with spending more money than necessary to get that ring. I think the best way is just to be patient. Like, a good deal will come along, and it's up to you to seize that deal. It's better for you to seize the deal before you get to a level. So, like, what I was struggling with at this level was like before 40 billion, there's so many people selling god gear, so many people selling gear that would work for me, but I'm like, okay, I'll just buy it once I get to that level, which, you know, a level where it would make sense for me to wear it. As soon as I hit this level and I'm like, okay, I should start hunting food now, nobody's selling. So like it put me in a position where like I might have to pay more for just a regular gear. We'll curate this values worth together as well. So buy as early as you can. Let's see, sell protection stone, and it's always supply and demand. Like protection stones, like a month ago. Oh no, not a month ago. Like 2 or 3 weeks ago, it was getting sold for like 600 million, and people were like raving about that price, like how terrible it was. And now that there's more supply, there's let me turn on. Now that there's no supply, now that there's a lot of supply, the price has gone down naturally, bro. Like this shit, it just goes down. Prices only go down once there's more supply. All right, this Namek God cloak. So this is easier to curate because the God part, I wouldn't really say has a big factor in it, just because it's 4 slot. What I said in the beginning was, it's almost 7 minutes in. What I said at the beginning of the video, it is dependent on the last slot that it takes to make. On average, you can expect to be spending, let's see, like 20 million gold on a 1 slot, about, I'd say 60 million gold for a 2 slot, right? And around 100 million gold for a 3 slot. For a Namek God Cloak, you can be spending around like 500 million for a 4th slot. And that's where the price comes from. The price is dictated by the last slot that it achieved. So this being a 4 slot means that I can expect to spend somewhere around 400 to 600 million for this cloak. Anything that's higher, there might be something to it. Like, let's say if this had more defense. I think defense is negligible when you're doing God gear, just because I don't know, defense doesn't really mean much in this game, honestly. Unless you're at the very, very top echelon. Like, I think Angel Gear has pretty good defense, actually, but that's another story. So with this, so this is another situation. So HP actually matters in this game. So leveling up these pants would bring up the value, but not as much as the slot. Also keep in mind, this curation is a it's very vast. It's vastly different when you add gloves into the mix. The actual number of the glove matters way more than any of these slots. This could be a fucking 8 slot. But if it has like this could be an 8 slot gear, but if it has like 4,000 attack, nobody gives a flying fuck about that. Let me turn on my phone again because I have to do some shit. The actual number for the stats that matter, so HP and God Gloves, mean a fuck ton on the value of the item. Whereas things like shoes and cloak, upgrading the gear itself is negligible because there's really not much you can do. The only thing that upgrading gear does anymore is if you have every single gear at level 4, you actually get a different aura than everyone else. Which I think is pretty cool. I'll experiment with that when I get like the funds to do so, just because Just because your boy's broke. Let's see. Let's go to the disciples. Hopefully I'm not... Okay, good. So, Saiyan God Cloak. Same deal. Defense doesn't really matter. So, because this is convert 15% damage to HP, there aren't many gears that do this. Um, Obviously, we want to increase the disciple survivability at any cost. So this is where, the owner of this gear, or the first owner of this gear, um, had that thought process where my disciple's dying a lot, might as well get some convert gear. That way I can hunt food at the same time without him dying. Same deal here. So let's curate this value. So we have 3 slots. So it takes around, what, 100 million? As we said before, the god portion of the item only becomes negligible after the 4th slot. So this being god does factor into the item's worth. So we can expect to spend maybe around 200 to 300 million. I think that's on the high end as well. So I think maybe 180 million at the very, very low end. It really depends how hard this guy's trying to sell. But if I were to sell this gear right now, I'd probably sell it on the high end just because I still need this gear. This gear has value to me. Therefore, I'm not going to sell it that easily. Let's go to the gloves. So this one has a high attack for being level 4. Actually, I think a level 4 glove, I think the highest I've seen is like around the 7.543 mark. So this is like an average Saiyan God glove. I'd say this value because we have a 3 slot and then the attack, the number itself is pretty high. I'd say we can sell this for maybe around like 400 to... Actually, no. I'd say around 300 to 600 as well. It's in that range. Maybe even a bit lower. Consign, when we see this, it's very valuable on the lower end of the spectrum of gears. So if you have like a zealot silver gems, or like a cow armor gems, the gems actually do go a long way in the gear's worth. Let's go to the shoes. So one of the things that make or break a gear is its consistency in slots. I wouldn't expect this getting sold more than 100 million because it has convert 10% of damage to HP and convert 5% damage to ki. I'm obviously not going to be selling this at all. But if I were to sell it, I wouldn't be selling it for more than like 200 million just because the consistency of the slots isn't there. There is no consistency in here. A lot of people do prefer having some convert damage to ki, and I think that's where a ring comes into play, because rings are interchangeable with every disciple. When you fixate convert to ki on a shoe, then that you can't use that gear that well anymore. You'd have to get a Saiyan disciple with a need for ki and all that good stuff. But when you have a ring, then you can interchange that with other races. So you can have a Namek that needs ki. So boom, I can give it 5% convert to ki. You can have an Earth that needs convert to ki. So boom, I just give it the ring and it's good. The rings are super valuable, but it also means that you can do more with it. So its value comes in it being able to interchange with other races, and the rings is basically like radars. So I don't have a radar actually. That's crazy. But like a level 11 radar. Oh, we didn't even curate rings. Yep. So rings are super valuable just because any race can wear them. And that goes a lot. Oh my god, 15 minutes. Yeah, I'm gonna cut it there. If there's been anything that was iffy, please let me know. I'll make a more concise video in the future. I'm just super bogged down with like homework and shit. But yeah, that's about it. So yeah.